Welcome to the damp outdoors. You just came from the dry inside where you heard a little bit about seances. So I'm going to tell you a story tonight about a true story about a seance that took place here in the United States and was the most famous seance to ever take place in our country. A seance so famous, in fact, that it is still being reenacted today. So let's go back to the 1920s. Seances were exploding in popularity because of the end of World War I and the end of the global flu pandemic. And people had lost a lot of loved ones tragically and suddenly, and they were desperate to know that they were okay and to have some kind of closure. So a lot of mediums sprung up. They started conducting seances. Well, enter into this world a man who some of you have probably heard of before. His name was Harry Houdini. Houdini was an illusionist. He was an escape artist. You're probably familiar with some of the performances that he would do, where he would be bound in ropes and chains and thrown off bridges and down into the water, and he would escape. Or he would be locked into containers full of water, and he would escape. Well, because he understood sleight of hand, he sat in on a few seances and he could see the tricks that the mediums were doing. And he thought that it was awful that they were taking advantage of people who were really vulnerable at kind of the saddest point in their lives. And it bothered him so much that he started dressing in disguise. He would take some police officers who also were dressed in disguise, and they would go to these seances. And in the middle of the seance, Houdini would jump up and he would say, "Aha! I got you. I see the trick that you are doing." And a lot of mediums actually got arrested because of Houdini basically crashing their seances. Well, Houdini and his wife Bess often had these philosophical conversations about life and death, because even though Houdini was calling out and exposing a lot of these mediums as frauds, they weren't really answering the ultimate question. Are there true mediums out there? Is it really possible? Is it really possible to communicate with the dead? Well, Houdini and Bess, they had a wonderful relationship. They had a very close relationship. She had started out as a singer, performer, and she became his performance partner. She would be with him on stage, helping him with his act. And they had a code that they used, a secret code that only the two of them knew, that they would write each other notes and love letters and things like this. So Houdini said to Bess, "If you pass away before I do, I am going to give you a code." He said, "If I pass away before you do, I'm going to give you a code, and I want you to choose a seance leader, a medium that you trust, and you hold a seance, and if the medium can give you the code, then you know you've got your answer. It is possible to talk to the dead." So, 1926, October, Detroit, Michigan. Harry and Bess are there performing, and neither one of them knew it, but that night would be their last performance, because as the curtain came down on the stage, Houdini collapses, and he is rushed to the hospital, and the doctors determined that he has a burst appendix, which, as you know, can be very dangerous. And sadly, in Houdini's case, it was fatal, and he dies on October 31st. Bess is shocked because he had been perfectly healthy a few hours before, but true to her word, even though she's grieving, she rounds up a local medium, she rounds up some people, and they have a seance that night. And they're holding hands, and they're in a circle, and they're trying to connect, Houdini, speak to us, Harry, reach out to us. Nothing. They do it again the next year. Nothing. Well, eventually, Bess meets a man named Arthur Ford. Ford had fought in World War I, and he claimed to be a medium, and he was starting to gain a reputation as somebody who could connect people with their dearly departed loved ones. So she reaches out to him. They spend some time together. They get to know each other. She really likes him, and she gets to trust him. And she says, October is coming up. Would you conduct my husband's seance? And Arthur says, oh my gosh, yes, I'm honored. I would love to do this for you. So, Halloween night, 3 years after Houdini has passed away, Bess and Arthur Ford and some of their friends are sitting around a dining room table. They are holding hands, and they are trying to channel, Harry, speak to us. Harry, let us know that you're here. And all of a sudden, the medium shouts out, Rosabelle. He says, answer, tell, pray, answer. Answer, answer, pray, tell. Which is a strange assortment of words that makes absolutely no sense to anybody seated around the table, except for Bess has nearly fallen out of her chair. This is the code that she had been waiting for. Rosabelle was Houdini's pet name for her. It was the title of a song that she used to sing in their early years together. In fact, she had the name Rosabelle engraved in the inside of her wedding ring. And nobody knew that. She and Houdini had kept that as a secret. The words that Arthur had muttered corresponded with a letter of the alphabet, and they spelled out B-E-L-I-V-E, believe. Rosabelle, believe. So, did Bess have her answer? Was this really a message from her deceased husband? Well, word spreads like wildfire. It even makes the papers. I mean, this seance becomes so famous, and so does Arthur Ford. And people are begging him to come and conduct their seances. And, he wants to help people out, but he's got to make a living too, so he's, increasing his prices. And Bess is seeing this happen, and she says, this is horrible. How could you do this? How could you take advantage of people like this? This is what my husband hated. So she goes to the press and she says, guess what? She drops a bombshell. She says she had revealed the code to Arthur, that they had been in it together. Well, Arthur, of course, says, no way. He says she's a grieving widow, she's jealous, she's got an alcohol problem. He trashes her reputation and hers. So the public is left to wonder, who is telling the truth? Is it Bess or is it Arthur? And both of them carry that secret to their graves. We do not know. It is still a mystery. But somewhere in this country, this Sunday night, will be groups of people gathering around, trying to channel Houdini's spirit, because they believe that if anybody could escape death, it is the world's greatest escape artist. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.